Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator, actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. This is Let's Play Higurashi. When They Cry. The 07th expansion presents Welcome to Hinamizawa, or Hinamizawa, When They Cry. Ellipses is very important. Mion. Oh, you look just fine. I heard you collapsed, so I came to check up on you. How did you know I collapsed? Heard from Rena over the phone. Do I need any reason other than that? I understood why she would call a doctor. But why Mion, too? Rena was descending the stairs behind me. Rena, doesn't Kei-chan look pretty all right? Sheesh, you made me worry for nothing. That's true. Maybe I worried for nothing as well. They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them. What's the better option? You guys are getting possessed? Or that you guys are just psychotic? Or you're working with, like, the Forest Mafia. And, like, you look right here. You can see Cell right there. DBZ joke. Whoa, what's up with this shoe rack? How did it get like this? The shoe rack that I'd smashed to pieces like that since yesterday. I fell, you see. And the bat I was holding at the time slammed into it. This is what happens when you swing around something you're not used to handling. I kept the fact that it was none of her business to myself. But leaving it like this would really startle your parents when they get home. I'll fix it up for you later. Now come on, Kei-chan. The terminally ill need their rest. Come back. Come, back in bed, back in bed. Both of them urged me up the stairs. I had no chance to call Ushi-san. I was pushed into my bed. As it was the first time Mion had been in my room, she began searching around it intently. She fiddled around my room and was scolded by Rena. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Mion said something as though it was perfectly ordinary. Rena? Hey guys, I have girls in my room. LOL. Did you call the manager? Yep, right after I called Mi-chan. He said he'd be right over. Manager? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Rena called a doctor, then called Mion, and after that she called a manager? Who was this manager? Since Rena and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd. What are you two talking about? Who's this manager? Didn't you know, Kei-chan? We mean the manager when we say manager. Like the director of a movie. Or like a foreman of a construction site. Laughter. Oh, yeah, because we haven't known a foreman of a construction site that didn't, I dug through all memories for a manager who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind. What Rena just said. The construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident. Dismembered the damn construction the foreman? But that was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. What does the manager have to do with me? You said he was coming. Did you mean to my house? I asked one obvious question after another. but all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rena and Mion were talking about. Kei-chan, you've gotten into baseball lately, haven't you? Pretty sure the manager will be able to hear. Happy to hear about. So who is this manager? The manager is the manager. So who is this manager? So many vowels and so many consonants and not a coherent statement. Rena and Mion looked at each other and laughed haughtily. That disturbing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly. Oh yeah, we should finish up before the manager comes. You remember, don't you, Kei-chan? Her face was laughing, but Mion's eyes told a different story. Remember? Remember what? Kei-jun, had he forgotten, I wonder, about the penalty? About the penalty? Did you really forget? The homework with the mochi. The homework where you were supposed to guess which one Rena made. You forgot about the homework, didn't you? I certainly did have that homework, but I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found the sewing needle. So I wasn't able to answer which one Rena made. The penalty for that. Why now? No doubt my question was written all over my face. The answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. Strange. Incomprehensible. Being chased by Rena, attacked by strange men. The penalty Mion and Rena were talking about. What were these two laughing at? It didn't take long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back? What are you doing? Don't move. This is your penalty. My body was already very sluggish, and Rena pinning my arms made it that much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and I realized this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength, it would have been impossible for the Rena that I knew. Then these thin, frail arms grasped me firmly. Whose arms were they? Kei-chan, no struggling. Club rules, there are no exceptions. You can't fight against the penalty. Mion? No. That thing that looked like Mion spoke to me. Like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain that this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion. Someone who was just pretending to be Mion. Need to finish this up before the manager comes. Mion fished into her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it is by just looking at it. But for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. What is that? It was a small syringe. It was a small, clear syringe like what a doctor would use when you went to him when you were sick. Rena held me even tighter, and I could hear that clattering laughter, that no longer sounded like laughter, blaring into my ear. That eerie laughter, it wasn't something that Rena and I knew could ever produce from her own throat. This thing that was pretending to be Rena, was this their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding drew closer. And that needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times. Don't worry, don't worry. It won't hurt, it won't hurt. Heh. Well, what are you planning on doing? What kind of sick joke is this? What are you saying, Kei-chan? You know exactly what's going on, don't you? About what? I don't understand any of this at all. I know you know. No use playing the fool this late in the game. Stop talking nonsense and trying to confuse me. You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomotaki-san. Poor choice of words. What? The same as Tomotaki-san. I didn't really understand what she meant. What did that have to do with this syringe? You're playing dumb, Keiichi-kun. You should have realized it by now. Rena whispered in her ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean, the same as Tomotaki-san? Everyone thought at first that it was a hit and run. Except when the officer got close to check to see if he was still alive. He soon noticed it wasn't a normal situation. His throat was scratched out. From a knife or something. No. Nails. Nails. Nails as in fingernails. With those gouged through. That's right. Tomotaki-san had clawed out his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then, for that to happen, we thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. That's right. The police didn't find drugs in Tomotaki-san's system. The police told me they didn't find any drugs in Tomotaki-san's body. Gweh, 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 gweh. The two of them laughed together with that sickening laughter. Of course they'd laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist, just because the police didn't know about it, it was completely foolish. Meaning, the drug that caused Tomotaki-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. That would basically mean I'd end up in the same state as Tomotaki-san. Become hysterical, scratching out my own throat in my last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist, for Mion to be holding it, and that I was about to be injected with it? At that moment I did not feel that there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying straight for his face, has time to think of his reason to why it's flying at him? Just give up. Alright then. Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and then made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like when someone's sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all, as if she was brushing her teeth. Mion reached out with one hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head, and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did someone hit me really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness. I squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, the entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as the hands of the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time had passed. Really. The air in the room wasn't filled with the madness from before, only a dull silence. Rena wasn't there. pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it was a hallucination? There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. I was certainly with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. Haha, I guess that horrible ordeal was a hallucination? Neither Rena nor Mion. They wouldn't ever do something so terrible? My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow? Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, not discriminating against age or gender. Mion? That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Blood stained her a deep red from her head down to her chest. The bright crimson smeared on the walls. That splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile, and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena. That same Rena was slumped at my feet, and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come to save me? Then they beat these two down? With this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. What? Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. I did this? That's right, Keiichi Maebara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me? There's no reason for you to remember it, nor is there a need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? But the blood. There's so much strawberry jam everywhere. The blood, there's so much strawberry jam everywhere. Neither Rena nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead or a trickle of blood. Nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. Were they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface I was panicking and agitated. I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once. Twice. Breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted that over and over in my head and relaxed. Color came back to my vision, and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Rena and Mion had attacked me. They were both about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomotaki-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Rena as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Rena tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat that was left carelessly by the side of my desk. Bweep. That moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape in my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. It's just the other me inside myself had told me not to look, and had turned off the TV. Hold on, I gotta cough a bit. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it, didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. The tape within me creaking along, still playing. On the other end of the pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing. Still playing on. Compared to this, though, the scene right before my eyes, was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, and the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may even have killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. The two of them collapsed here in Mion's syringe. Mion's syringe filled with some unknown drug would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomotaki-san. And from the fact that both the two were involved, they'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be suspected for this, but that was just fine. Anyway, now this should be a police affair. This wouldn't fade into the darkness like Rena's past incidents. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'll probably revisit their investigation on the chain of incidents. Oshi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The doctor Rena called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I needed to contact Oshi-san. At that moment I remembered. Besides the doctor, a manager had been called. It was easy to imagine that there was someone deeply involved with the incidents, judging from Rena and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Maebara. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment I felt like I heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean that there was more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They were very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one person there wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door, pretend to be a doctor and get me to open the door, and the rest of them would rush in all at once. At that moment I saw the car parked behind the men, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. The white van that tried to run me off a road. No mistaking it. That van, the one that had tried to run me down. The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they'd just break the window and enter. I needed to get out of here somehow.